Hello, everybody. How are you? Module 78, really fascinating one. Welcome. Thank you for watching this. Module 78 gets into aggression. Social psychology is fascinating to explore this really, really interesting, complex human, not just emotion, but human process and set of behaviors. See the definition there? Any physical or verbal behavior intended to hurt or destroy. Tom and Jerry is a wonderful cartoon, but yeah, it's really, really violent. Remember our discussions with Albert Bandura and observational learning? Do cartoons, video games, Hollywood movies cause violence? Does it lead to more violence? Kind of depends on who's paying for the study. We've always had fun in the past examining our own levels of aggressive acts and whether it's more passive aggressive behavior, whether it's physical aggressive behavior. Again, really, really interesting just to kind of reflect and think about your own aggressive acts. We live in a country that's pretty violent, with a lot of guns out there. Some people estimate there's more guns in America than there are people in America, potentially more than 350 million guns in this country. No matter how you feel about the Second Amendment, pro or con, it's interesting when you look at some of the statistics of the guns and gun ownership and what those guns do. It's a lot of people in, say, my lifetime that have been killed in a non war setting by firearms. The second thing popping up here, yeah, the correlation is you're more likely to be killed in the home if there is a gun in the home. And equally so, there's high correlations between unintentional shootings, all those tragic stories that happen in an unintentional way. Equally so, criminal assaults and homicides and even suicides. Again, if there's a gun in the home, then the chances of violence and aggression go way, way up. Again, it's not really a political issue that I wanted to talk about, but again, just an interesting thing to explore the facts around gun ownership and what guns do. There's certain aspects of biology to this, and when you're talking about guns, there's certain factors that load the human mind or behavior of guns. There's genetic influences, there's neural and brain influences, and there's biochemical influences on the human act of aggression. When we talk about genetic influences, there's identical twin studies that look at people that are genetically the same and they have the same propensity for aggressive acts. Really, really fascinating. Equally so, the Y chromosome. What is it about the male chromosome, specifically the Y chromosome, that makes males more aggressive? And then you get into the neural and brain influences. We've talked about the amygdala. That amygdala is that part of the limbic system that controls human emotions. And that has everything to do with aggression. Equally so, frontal lobes and that cognitive process of how we think through aggression has everything to do with our brain influences at a cognitive level. And equally so, biochemical influences. Again, our friend, the male, Arnold Schwarzenegger in Conan the Barbarian, a great movie, see it. Testosterone, again, not just the Y chromosome, but you add in testosterone, that male hormone, and that also leads to aggressive acts. And then, oh my lord, you throw in alcohol and drugs and what that does at a biochemical level and how that influences aggression very, very, very strongly. So, all three of those things, genetic influences, neural and brain influences, and biochemical influences, are biological aspects that help load the gun of aggressive behavior. This next slide gets into the psychological and cultural aspects of aggression. So, if the biological aspects help load the gun to human aggression, well, then these really pull the trigger. Things like aversive events, negative events, reinforcement and modeling that we'll talk about shortly, and even media models. And I could share some photos with you in a little bit. When we talk about aversive events, yeah, there's the frustration aggression principle that when the human being gets frustrated, that leads to aggression. One thing you're all familiar with as relatively new drivers is this thing called road rage. And maybe you've experienced it directly. I'm going to have you watch a video and maybe do a case study in a little bit here.